Assalamualaikum and good evening to all the viewers. Welcome to Econight's late night shows called Sembang Alam. I am your guest host for today. Let me introduce a bit of myself. I am Kuswatun. I studied marine biology at University Malaysia Terengganu, and currently I am doing my internship at Econight's under pillar rehabilitation, restoration and conservation of coral RRC. So as an intern previously, I am under technical teams for Night Watch, specifically as assistant director for Sembang Alam. Now I have been given the opportunity to be the host for this episode. So for those yang dah biasa tengok Sembang Alam ataupun you are new to Sembang Alam, just introduce a bit of Sembang Alam. We are actually a talk show that bring different hosts to discuss on different topic and different issue and to explore the views and perspective from the views that come from different backgrounds. So before we begin, I just want to remind to all the viewers that we are conducting a giveaway. So to all the viewers, simple step. You just have to do hashtag I am in at the comment below and 5 lucky winner akan terpilih untuk join our workshop on self-watering workshop for free. So make sure hashtag I am in at the comment below. Tonight we have exciting topic on our discussion, which is how relevant are SDGs in our life. So to some of the viewers, maybe this is first time you heard about SDG, and maybe some of you have heard about SDG but never know what is SDG is about. So no worries, because the guests will share their knowledge on SDG and also sharing some of their views and perspective on SDG. Okay, so without further ado, tonight I will invite the speakers. I invite Yasmin, our founder of Econites. Next is Amli, the vice president of Econites. And last but not least, Fadli Bahtia, our program director. Hi everyone.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, Kus.
Everyone
How
is
are you?
doing well,
Hi,
yeah.
Amli, Yasmin.
Thank you, Pat.
Amli.
So kalau siapa yang dah biasa tengok Sembang Alam from first episode, these are the familiar faces that have been supportive with our Sembang Alam session.
Almost
Yasmin,
every
Amli,
week, yeah.
and yeah.
I hope people
So
are still not bored of us.
I hope so. Okay, so to the speakers and viewers, today is our 8th episode, and today we will be introducing the overview of SDG. So in this episode ada 3 segmen, support the goals, sembang dengan guru and shout the goals. So if you notice that title untuk setiap segmen tu adalah initial from the SDG. So we come up with the idea, okay, title tu nak initial untuk SDG to make it more fun. So if you want to know what are we going to talk about for each segment, stay tuned, okay? So let's proceed with the first segment, which is support the goals.
Support the goals.
Yeah, support the goals. So what goals are we talking about, yeah?
That's
So
cool.
as I mentioned, our title for today's is how relevant are SDGs in our life. So the goals that we are going to talk about is about Sustainable Development Goals or SDG. So just a bit of introduction on SDG. So before SDG ni adopted in Malaysia in 2015. Before this, it is called as Millennium Development Goals or MDG. So dalam SDG ni ada 17 goals, where certain goals ni ada dia punya target lah, yang kalau kita combine daripada 17 goals tu ada 169 target. So we have prepared a list of questions for the speaker to discuss and to share on your knowledge to gain more insight, and hopefully we can get enlightened by the end of this episode. So let's proceed with the first episode. So first question, sorry. So for the first question, I will address this question for Yasmin and Amle, since you both has been more experienced in this environmental field. So to Amle and Yasmin, what is your opinions on the implementation of SDG after the MDG phase in terms of if there is any improvement in SDG before after the MDG has expired in 2015?
You want to go, Amle?
Amle or Yasmin, any one of you can start first.
On mute. Amle is on mute. Unmute.
Okay, Yasmin, you start first.
Achi.
Bagi bos lah dulu start.
Anyway.
Ladies first.
All right.
Oh, thank-
From a very layman perspective, and I think Amle will jump in. I first heard of the MDGs like, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I believe there's something missing in the MDGs. That's why the SDGs are better than the MDGs. But in general, it is really about charting high-level goals and directions for governments, for countries to look at building a sustainable future. If I can make it as layman. These are goals that are decided by very smart people, very educated people, and very people who are aware of worldly views, issues, and politics. And these goals are meant to guide governments toward, crafting a sustainable future. You want to add anything, Amli?
I think there are a lot of good points for SDGs. They are very ambitious, and they are not. No countries will be penalized if they do not comply to the SDGs, which means that they can be more ambitious than the SDGs. So, but the other thing is that the countries won't be penalized, so they don't have anything to worry if they don't achieve them. But I think the other important thing about SDG is that one size doesn't fit all. Maybe different countries have different way of doing things, and these are very, very ambitious goals to achieve in 2030. We know that in many countries, including Malaysia, sometimes even something which is quite, we think, achievable in 10 years are not achieved in the...
Wawasan 2020.
Yeah,
Kereta terbang.
I can... Of course, there are many examples. I think it's because the commitment is there, it's not there. I appreciate the fact that all these world leaders come up and stay there to develop this vision, and it's tough. I know it's really challenging to be there day and night, evening, and all the representatives for the various countries have to design something. But I think maybe in the future, the process should focus on the process itself in achieving sustainable development. Because I think I've mentioned this and I don't want to elaborate on that. Sustainability is something which is really relative. Different countries will see survival from a different perspective. You're talking about survival, cultural survival, environmental survival, social survival. That is most important thing. How do they view social survival? And to achieve that social survival, there are different ways. For different countries have different ways of doing them, and we shouldn't be so strict about that. But all said, I think the SDGs give a very good picture of what a country can should do in order to achieve what we term as sustainability.
Yeah. So the 17 goals, if you look at it in front of you, is like a global dashboard. I think what each goal highlights are critical social, environmental, economical, developmental issues, which, rolls out the 169 targets so that it gets deeper into targets, tell you where are the areas specifically under poverty, for instance, where is the areas specifically under infrastructure that really needs to really move forward and progress in advancements in sustainability. And I think they have been producing their reports. Last year, they produced a report in July
Mm.
to tell the world how the SDGs are doing. And this year, I think they produced another report as well. I think one key difference this year and last year is the impact of COVID. And I think COVID was probably a crisis that no one really expected to happen, which also shows some aspects of the SDGs that maybe can address uh, human health, environmental health. And
Yeah.
I think COVID will put back a lot of countries who are ambitious in achieving.
Okay. So when Yasmin mentioned about COVID has actually affect our effort in achieving sustainable development goals, that's interesting point that I want to uh, ask to the Yasmin and Amli. But before that, question for Fabs. Since you have experience in the transition between MDG and SDG, what can you see the major difference or difference that between MDG and SDG? How does it differ from one another? Fabs,
Well,
silakan.
yes. Can you hear me? Okay. So personally, I did not come from the environmental academic background compared to Yasmin and Amle to begin with. So when I joined in 2008, I believe that time was already 8 years through the MDGs, right? So the MDG was, I think, announced in 2000, if I'm not mistaken, right? So when I joined, I didn't have any of those ideas, really. I volunteered at Eco Nights um, because of opportunity or because of desperation. I didn't have any of those ideas. And my learning curve that time was different, I think, because in that sense that I was trained from the operational side, not from the development side. What I mean is that because I did not come from the environmental background, so I didn't have these ideas of what is sustainable development, what is environmental friendly and stuff like that. I just came in, volunteered, and trained from the uh, operation point of view. Like how to run certain things, how to basically get things done, lah. But as I continue, and then with, of course, with Yasmin and Amli, I support and guidance, I started to grow interest in what I was doing, and I got involved in the development areas lah. So from the development area is when I learned to be involved in understanding certain aspect of environment, the interrelation between different subjects and so on and so forth. So that's my background on environment or environmental studies or environmental experience or career lah. So I wasn't aware of the transition, to be frank with you. Uh, Perhaps there was a little emphasis. I think when I was even in 2008, I don't remember like hearing MDGs was spoken about frequently at that time. Even towards 2012 or 2013, it was not something that was mentioned. I think it's also probably because of the communication at that time. The public communications. Now, 2015 or moving forward when the SDG was introduced, I think the in communications, social media, media is really very advanced and rapid, kan? So information comes very fast. There's a lot more things going on from different countries. So compared to MDGs, I think there was not a lot of communications, and I think eventually there's also probably lack of responsibility, like clarity over things. I think there was eight goals from MDGs, and there was a lot of things that maybe was not highlighted. But I think one of the good things is that I'm sure the legacy of the MDG sort of paved the way for SDGs to be born, to start lah, kan. And I think it's also one clear difference, I think, from between MDG and SDG is the word sustainable lah. So the millennial, I think it touches one of the point, which is environmental sustainability. But in SDGs, I think there are more goals focusing on the protection of the environment, the sustainability of the world. So, and it it is unique lah. I think it is unique, and also from my point of view as the program director of Equinites, uh, the things that we do at Equinites, since especially since after the SDG was announced, and we make a point to uh, you know develop and operationalize Equinites, align ourselves with the SDGs lah. So I think that's one very clear difference from my point of view at Equinites and as the program director of Equinites. And I think lastly, I can see that one thing that made everyone work towards it compared to maybe MDGs, again, maybe I was not very aware of MDGs, is during the SDGs, I think the countries, the political leaders made very bold commitments lah. I don't know whether that's a good thing, but when someone say that you have to cut what do you call it, cut carbon emission by certain percentage, everyone got shocked and people start to feel like, what is this about? And everyone sort of wanting to know what this is lah. So I think that's probably one of I'm not sure whether it's a good or a bad thing, but I'm sure that made a lot of people, especially the countries around the world, want to know more about the SDGs lah. Yeah, that's my point of
Okay,
view.
when you mention, yeah, when you mention yang bila dah apa dekat MDG dia ada only touch on certain parts on
Mm.
environmental
Yeah,
aspect, and dekat SDG dia ada cover more
yeah.
targets and goals towards environmental. So some of general public they question like wouldn't it be more effective if we focus on a macam apa small number of target rather than broader scope to target on. So from your opinions, in Malaysia,
Mm.
um, is it realistic for us to adapt on the SDG to cover all those targets in 2020, 2030?
Um,
No,
Yasmin has said it.
hell no.
Yeah, especially when Yasmin mentioned about COVID-19,
Uh,
kita pun tak sangka lah yang COVID-19 ni akan become pandemic to all the countries. Tapi
uh,
macam even kalau tak ada COVID-19 pun, is it realistic actually for us to achieve all those 17 targets?
Trouble, hell no.
No lah, no.
I'm not sure about all 17 targets, but again, setting a goal is important for everyone, especially those
Yeah.
who are, have signed or agreed to achieve the goals to try and get towards the goal lah. So I
I,
think the between the 8 goals and 17 goals, previously, I think the 17 goals is makes I think gives a little bit more emphasis on other areas, because if you say like environmental protection kan, under there's I think probably like not enough emphasis on certain things that is important. I think the 17 goals made it very constructive or comprehensive lah for all areas that affect most of the countries around the world. So I think that's
There's
probably one
nothing
of
wrong
the
with the goals. There's nothing wrong with the goals. The goals are
yeah
fine. Level goals. We all know what's wrong. It's us, it's government, it's politics, it's
yeah,
political will. I
mm,
mean, everyone has high level goals. I'm sure the Dalai Lama has really high goals for world peace and everyone else. But the challenge here is how do you get everyone on
yeah,
board the same effort to drive something that means the same to everyone?
yep,
You know,
I agree.
I don't think we're talking about the SDGs, but billions of people out there probably don't even give hoots about it because life is such that they have other things to prioritize.
correct.
Mm,
And when you're going through a pandemic or when you have a president that sucks, what can you do? But then
So,
there is a lot of things you can do. I'm not
so
saying that
basically,
you need to rely on the government and all that to run the SDGs. There are
okay,
many
so
things.
mm.
basically you are saying that it's unrealistic lah for us to achieve all those goals. So, okay,
Tapi nak tahu semua orang achieve kan, tapi
yeah,
realistic 10 tahun lagi. Hmm.
Actually,
okay.
how lah? I think when Yasmin said like no, as in like there's no wrong with the goal, I agree with it. One is to set the goal. As Amle pun cakap tadi kan, like all the political leaders, government leaders kan, they all try to work on something that can work for everyone. So that's one part. the idea, the policy level, but how is the, something that everyone has been trying, because it's only been 5 years since 2015. I think every year, from our point of view, we go to conferences, we go to, presentations, reporting, whatever, all this sharing or information session. It's still learning curve for us. I think it's learning curve. Like, is this the right way to do? No one knows the best way to do. We say that we need to target this. How do you get that? So everyone's trying and learning at the same time. So I think the key is that how fast can we learn from the previous year of doing something, like when we did in 2019, what went well, what went wrong, how do you improve? The turnover has to be
Okay.
fast enough for us to learn something faster lah. That's my
Okay, I
opinion.
know this
Yeah.
speaker dia ada banyak sangat macam opinions and benda yang nak share kan, tapi kita
Move on.
untuk
Next.
for we will be taking a quick break. So we will discuss more on segment 2. So it's time for Casper to make the announcement. So I will invite Casper first before we further discuss on the second segment. Okay.
Hoot hoot! How nice it is to be back again as we bring to you a whole new and well improved season this time. Wow, am I excited for that? And hello, Kuswatun, our new host. I can barely fit in as usual because all the guests and the host herself has lots of interesting to say of. Well, as per usual, I am back at it again to remind all of you our programs and initiatives that are taking place here in Eco Nights. So, the first announcement is the first announcement is Project Vocal. Some of you that are always up to date with us might have already been familiar with this project, in which Project Vocal stands for Voice of Climate Action Leaders. It is one of Econite's initiatives that encourage youth from the age of 18 until 35 who are interested and passionate in tackling environmental issues. Now, we need your help to take the survey in order for us to gather more data on youth's understanding about climate action change. So please lend us a hand, take the survey, and while you're at it, be a vocalist. The next announcement that I have for you guys is G Park Rangers! Yes, G Park Rangers is back again with a brand new workshop and a brand new film screening. GPR is an initiative under Gamuda for children aged 5 until 12 years old. This brand new and exciting workshop is called Rainforest Diorama. Head over to G Park Rangers website to participate. This is your chance to educate your youngsters on the importance of recycling while at the same time allowing them to have fun with it. The exclusive Netflix Kids for Kids film package is also available for access on the 23rd of August, where we showcase the selected films which are intended to expose children to the beauty of our environment and the consequences of not protecting it. And last but not least, drum roll please, we are having a giveaway for our School of Sustainability online series workshop. On this 23rd August 2020, School of Sustainability, or commonly known as SOS, will be conducting our third workshop on self-watering system. We have tips and tricks to share with you on how to get your plants to water themselves while you're on vacation. Don't worry for those who are still hesitant, as we will be providing a digital self-watering manual and an e-certificate to our School of Sustainability graduates. What's more exciting? All of you and all of you audience are in luck as we are giving away five free seats for this workshop. OMG, I started a bit because I was so excited in announcing this. Yes, you heard it right. 5 free seats. Comment down below using the I am in hashtag to stand a chance to carve your name on the empty slots. May the odds be in your favor and I wish you the best of luck. Hoots! I guess that is all that I have for you guys today. Have an excellent week ahead, and I hope after this episode we can live more sustainably. Casper signing off. Back to you, Kuswatun.
Okay, we are back again. Wow, banyaknya announcement daripada Casper. So make sure to check them out, okay? Okay, dekat second segment ni, the topic is sembang dengan guru. So earlier we discussed about the MDG and SDG. So untuk second segment ni kita akan fokus more SDG in Malaysia. So
Siapa guru?
Fab. Yeah, guru is all of you lah. Guru Yasmin, Guru Fabs and Guru Amle. Since you have experience
Guru. Who
in
you?
this topic. So tadi when we said tak kisahlah sama ada realistic ke tak realistic ke, tapi dah since 2015, which mean dah 5 years we are already practicing SDG. So in your opinions, what actually motivates the Malaysian to adopt the SDGs in their life?
Guess what? You practice the SDG?
Oh.
SDG apa yang your favorite? Yang you
My
practice?
favorite is of course life below water because I'm taking marine biology.
So what?
I'm reducing plastic usage. Just a simple effort, tapi I think it's make a big effect lah, big impact to the environment. I hope.
Bagus, jawapan bagus. Sit back korang
Continue to fast. What motivate the Malaysian to actually adopt the SDGs in their life?
You guys want to go?
Well, I guess I think the reason for goals is again to make sure everyone has something clear to look at. So macam you cakap, you take care of the you are passionate about the life below water, or you reduce your plastic usage and all this. I think generally humans have this good side of them, like they have done something. Of course there are bad side of them that they do something bad, but the idea of the goals is to tell you that the things that you do actually falls under something that will create an impact in the future, right? So I think the goals are just to tell you that some of the things that you do ada impact yang bagus, some things that you do that is not good, there is a way for you to change your life lah. I think it's like a refined belief system. I think whether it motivates people or not, Malaysian or not, it really depends on whether you believe in something, really. Like religion. If you believe in what the religion offers you and what is the outcome of if you become a good person, blah blah blah. It's similar to me, similar to the sustainable goals. Before this, we were never told about how this thing can be quantified and stuff like that lah. So that is from the point of view of the goal. But as
So
a person, I think yeah,
yes, Yasmin.
Jasmine. Huh? You're mute.
That's it.
Right.
I just thought I could add something here as well.
Yeah.
I think the goals are designed to tell us, like our eyes tell ourselves that there are areas or parts of our lives that we can improve to make living on this planet a bit more pleasant. I don't think they're absolute key ingredients to make life pleasant, but if we all do something in these areas, we can have the planet last a bit more longer.
Okay.
It's a-
We have question from the viewers from Afif Aiman. I will address this question to all the speakers. So one of the goals, SDG goals, is zero hunger. So the question is, may I know, can our country achieve that goals? And as we can see that many people out there are homeless everywhere, can our country endure this problem and achieve that target? So
I think Afif, zero hunger is the one goal that Malaysia is doing really well. But let's get deeper into why the people are hungry, which are unemployment and maybe unequal rights, unequal access. So it then digs deeper into the other goals. So I guess one of the things, if anything at all, to highlight that the 17 goals shouldn't be viewed in silo. as if kalau aku selesai SDG Goal 16 ni, it will somehow help. I don't know. Let's do 12. Sustainable consumption and production. I don't
They are all interrelated, okay?
know.
Yeah.
They're all interrelated.
That is my problem. You talk about poverty, you talk about hunger, you talk about economy, you talk about justice, they are all
Well,
interrelated. But we are
yeah.
doing what we have been complaining before. Environmental problems are approached in fragments, in segmentation, in, like you said, silo. But this is what's happening. What's happening in the United Nations? People are fragmenting them up. So people are quite confused. And back in Malaysia, you're gonna have the problem, the common, classic, conventional problem of coordination between not just within a ministry, but between all ministries. Okay, so how are you going to? This is one problem that we have to face. That is the motive. That's one thing, coordination, and the other part is that all this sometimes demotivates the policy and decision makers to continue achieving sustainable development goals. I'm quite particular about a statement in. Okay, I have to refer to a statement in one United Nations document, which says that if you look at all these goals, there is only one goal which is really, really important in order to achieve the other goals, and that is SDG number 4, quality education for all. You cannot have zero poverty or zero hunger if you do not have a good education. In order to have justice, I cannot recall which SDG is that, justice and equality, you need to have education. You're talking about a long-term process here. If you do not use or if you do not focus on education, none of this will be sustainable.
Are you
And
quoting Malala Yousaf, Amli?
I'm quoting a lot of people when I talk about education, but this is Malala's quotation is not in the United Nations document. What he said is based on her experience. The official quotation is from one official United Nations development on which focuses strictly on the achievement of SDG 4. So it shows that even though they realize that SDG 4 is the top priority, but in the picture, when people look at SDG 17, they see all of this as at the same part. I'm not sure whether there's going to be a problem with that impression, but I assume, I mean, if I'm looking at it from as a policy maker, I may not be able to think about other 16 SDGs. I will be focusing on my SDG because I know that in order to get other people to work together so that all these interconnection are tallied and also blend well is going to take a long, long time. So people just, okay, let's just focus on what we have to do, SDG, forget about the other organizations, about the other agencies. And that is the real problem. They do not want to talk about that problem, but that is the real problem. I would like to refer what one of the police officers said yesterday about the recent corruption issue. He said,
Sungai Buloh.
yes, Sungai Buloh. He said, this is a big officer himself saying this. Nobody has ever said this before, even the ministers. He said, corruption, we have to admit, occurs in the police institution. We have to agree with that. After all this time, we have been trying to avoid saying it, and that is the problem. Same with SDGs. We know there are problems, and these problems need to be solved before we can achieve SDG 17. That's why when I look at SDG 17, when it first appeared in 2015, I said, my God, in 2030, we have to achieve this. Look at this, 17 of them, and they are all interrelated. And yet we know we have a problem in coordination.
Okay,
sama.
Amli, you said the SDG is interrelated. Yasmin pun tadi ada cakap yang sebenarnya macam the question from the Afif Aiman mentioned about zero hunger. So actually it's also linked to the goal number
No
one, which
poverty.
is poverty.
Yeah.
But based on my reading, actually Malaysia increasing in terms of achieving goals number one, and statistically we have climbed up eight rank. In 2020, we are on the 60th position. Compared
Hmm.
to last year, we are on 68. So in terms of environmental point of view, what does this achievement means to you? Maybe Yasmin, you can elaborate more on these issues.
Um, I think it was just a couple of years back where we hit the 300, 350 mark for carbon content in the air, part per million. And that was just recently. And I think that was a clear sign that when the SDG goals were out and the UN was communicating it and advocacy groups and NGOs were promoting it, here we are still really kind of damaging the environment. So I think environmental issues cross transboundary. It cuts across the whole planet. It's only us men that create man-made boundary. Um, so I think environmental progress is still, I would say, perhaps better today than before in terms of awareness. But I think from in terms of action and now with more technology, with more awareness, with more media attention to it, maybe awareness has gone up higher, but I don't think we're too much there yet with our
Yeah,
progress in environment.
yeah, even in some high income countries, they can actually achieve on the social aspect, for example, poverty, health, and hunger, but they obtain lower score in environmental aspects such as climate change, which makes sense because when you are prioritized on the industrialization, how can you get the same positive impact to the environment? So to cover all of the SDGs that have social impact, environment, and economy. So Fabs, what do you think are
Hmm.
your observation on the cost invest in Malaysia towards achieving this SDG?
Hmm. Uh, so first of all, when most of the world adopted the SDGs 5 years ago, I think it was well understood that it comes with a huge or enormous price tag. Policymakers, those who make the decisions and make those policies and make those goals, knew that you cannot do it uh, with the aid alone. That means the aid that comes from the government will not be able to meet the financial needs of the developments. So, for example, I quote from 2019, the UN Deputy Secretary General Aminah Mohamad, her remarks at the UN Global Compact CEO Roundtable in 2019. She said that 4 years into the 2030 agenda of SDGs, she said that we are faced with existential threat of climate change. There is a 2.5 trillion annual SDG investment gap. That means
Oh, that's a
supposedly,
lot.
yeah, 2.5 trillion annual SDG gap, investment gap. So based on that gap, it says that at the current rate of investment, it will be possible to achieve SDGs by 2030. So because you have to understand when they ask about the cost, right? To simply put this, there is a gap between wanting to achieve the targets, because when you set a target, there must be resources that put to achieve the targets, right? Say you want the clean water, you must put resource to make sure that clean water, either human time and also money lah, fund kan. So how do we eradicate hunger, poverty, develop smart cities, save lives underwater, above land, tackle climate change, and so on? Who wants to invest in the development? So it needs public and private to, beside government, it needs public and private to invest in high development impacts, high development projects. So projects, like all these decarbonization or clean water projects, because these are projects that doesn't give that much return to companies or to capitalism. So we are fighting between, say, people who who invest money to make the most profit versus high impact projects such as those that have impact to the environment or to society, but in actual they are lower return, longer return and stuff like that. So people don't, companies especially, because companies drive economies, right? So they don't want to invest that much in this kind of development. So I think there are a lot more needs to be done. I know there's microfinancing and grants and so many things that is happening in Malaysia, but whether or not we are, and UN have said it, the deputy secretary general have said that there's a gap globally annually. So I'm sure in Malaysia is also that, but I hope that the country makes a bigger commitment, because from what I understood, that Malaysia wants to be the leader in green economy in ASEAN. So that means more investment in, of course, green technology and development, high impact developments lah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's my opinion.
Yeah, and Amli, since you have experience working with government, so maybe you could share with us the initiative from the government that we are not aware of, that they actually done this initiative towards achieving this SDG. So maybe you could share with us some of the initiative that you are aware of.
Okay, what I'm involved in at the moment is mostly with water resources management. I've been also involved in human wildlife conflict projects, which were very challenging because it involves uh, different perspectives from different stakeholders, and different people have different interests, and sometimes the people who are really affected, their opinions or their point of views were not taken up. Same goes with water resources management. We have a very good strategy in Malaysia, and that is to manage water resources through holistic or comprehensive approach that includes legal approaches, financial or economic approaches, educational. You're talking about policy making, you're talking about the engineering or the technical solutions. So these are very, very important angles where we can talk, where we should apply in order to achieve sustainability depending on the resources. And in fact, all resources should be approached in that way. Now, when it comes to the implementation, that is one problem. And that's because in order for you to achieve certain target of resource management, especially water, it involves a lot of stakeholders, a lot of agencies, a lot of maybe private sectors. You talk about the legal documents, the acts, the regulations. There are so many interconnected issues with these organizations, with these institutions, and also these documents. And this is one of the problems. In fact, I think I can say, talking from the surface, this is the main problem. Even sometimes when there are two agencies which we from outside here, like Yasmin said, the ordinary, the layman looking from outside, we believe and we know that they need to work together. They are not working together. In fact, they don't share information. And this is a very critical issue. When you are talking about the quality of the environment, at least the government agencies should be able to share their data and make decisions which are coordinated or parallel which doesn't clash, which decisions which do not, what you call, which will not overtake or risk the strategies of another department or another department or another ministry. And until now, we have been talking about this coordination issue for many years, ever since I started working in the environmental field. Until now, there are
So,
problems with that.
so the initiative made by the government is not easy as what we could see lah. Dia sebenarnya involve many stakeholders, many agency, and Amli mentioned tadi before the implementation ada involve legal approach which include the policy making. So although that we witness a lot of policy making and initiative make at different level. So do you think that Malaysia is on the right path or right track in achieving SDG despite of all the initiative made by the government?
Uh, we 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 are doing much better now. Okay, I can see that there are some agencies which are really working hard to achieve, even if it's not SDG, they are working hard towards achieving what I could say sustainable development, sustainability. But there are, you have to look at this issue from two angles. One, from the side of the policy makers, and the other side is the decision makers. With policymakers, I've met a lot of policymakers who are, who are well aware of the problem, and they're trying their best despite some of the limitations that they are facing. But when it comes to the decision-making level, the people who really decide, who really determine whether these policies should be implemented or not, this is one problem. There are even states, there is at least one state, as far as I know. For example, I mean, if you know that every district ought to have what you call the local plan. Local plan is produced by the Plan Malaysia, or well known as Jabatan Perancang Bandar dan Desa. This is the guideline, gazetted guideline. It's not just not gazetted guideline. It's a document, gazetted document by which every district should follow. It is a gazetted document. If you do not follow, that means you are wrong. Okay, basically you are wrong. But there are states. There is at least one state which does not even have any. That local plan, it involves the input, or it takes the input from various sectors. It's very comprehensive, relatively very comprehensive. You take the inputs from the economists, from the agricultural field, from the NGOs, environmental and whatnot, and they come up with a document which gives the guidelines or the path through which a district should be developed in order to achieve what we call as sustainable development. Sustainable development is a term which always appears in all these local plan or rancangan tempatan. Okay, but there is a state which does not have that at all, and the planning for the development of that state is caca marba, is up to the decision makers. You tak boleh kacau. Dia suka hati dia nak buat plan macam mana. Okay, kita buka tanah kat sini. Okay, kita buka program kat sini. So the development, the direction of the development is very unclear. It's all up to the people at the top. Okay, I'm going to say this anyway. Okay, because this is happening and this is a problem. I've not been talking about this for a long time, but I believe if we do not tackle this issue, we are never going to solve the problem of sustainability in Malaysia. We are reluctant to talk about the real issues, and this is the real issue. If you do not want to talk about the real issues, how long are we going to stay this way? We will never achieve sustainable development. And as far as I can see, in some areas, things are getting worse. That's from my point of view.
Okay, wow, that's a lot of information to digest. I hope the viewers yang baru nak kenal the SDG, you can get and absorb all the information and knowledge shared by our speakers. And
We need
maybe
another episode alone with Amle.
No, with everybody. I know
so maybe
Yasmin,
you are
and
more
I also know
eager
a lot from different angles. So I'm just like I said, from my point of
from
view.
your from your sharing, maybe
Very good,
the
Amle.
viewers are more eager to know more about SDG. So okay, kita dah kesentuhan masa. So next, let's just proceed with the third segment. So third segment ketiga ni, which called Shout the Goals. So this is the game session. So I think untuk viewers yang baru nak tahu about this SDG, it's more clear if we can give them the situation and relate what SDG does it involve. So I'll give the situation to the speakers, and all the speakers, you have to write your answer and show to the viewers what goals do you think that suit with the situation. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay, let's move. Yes, Jasmine. Okay.
It's a quiz.
Okay, yeah, it's kind of quiz lah. So for the first situations, issues on the illegal plastic waste import. So this has become hot issue in 2019, where we become the world largest plastic waste import. So government and the Ministry of Energy, Science, Technology, Environment and Climate Change, during this time is your big yo. So apa yang dia buat to tackle with this issue, dia hantar balik all the plastic waste to the countries of origin. So the speakers, what do you think the SDGs that involved in this issue?
Tunjuk slide ni.
Yeah, you ni lah issue illegal plastic waste and initiative from the government. So do you think what do you guess lah apa SDG yang involved with the initiative?
Only
Is
one
this
ke more than one?
Up to you. It can be more than
Oh,
one.
okay. Oh, okay. I
Oh,
thought
okay,
only.
okay.
Okay.
1, 2, 3 kita tunjuk sekali.
Okay. Yeah. Give me.
Alamak, tak
5 second. 5 second.
Kuswa kira masa 5 saat daripada sekarang.
Okay.
5 saat. Tunggu je weh.
4,
Oi, betul
3,
hafal betul ni.
2,
I cannot hafal.
Okay. 1, 2.
1.
Amle.
So your answer.
1, 3.
Febs 12,
Nanti,
13 and 11.
Amle tak nampak.
Yeah, 14.
Kali guna
Okay,
Emmet.
this is our support, our proposed SDG.
I guna buku anak.
Kat sini ada
Memang
banyak
contoh-contoh.
sangat.
Recycle.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Oh,
8, 9.
banyaknya.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sebab
Wow.
sebenarnya just a bit of sharing about plastic. When it's breakdown, it produce methane and ethylene, which will increase the rate of climate change. That's why we include climate change. Lepas tu pollution involve life below water. Alah, ni benda yang marine biology suka lah ni.
Number 3.
Okay, next
think-
situation.
That's very good.
On the extinction of Sumatran rhinoceros species. So dekat Malaysia hujung tahun 2019 the last Sumatran rhinoceros died in Malaysia.
Sedih.
So Malaysian scientists dia experiment this stem cell technology untuk bring back the Malaysian variants of Sumatran rhinoceros. So what goals are involved in this situation? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, laju lah. Tulis 4, tulis 1.
15-4. Yasmin 15-4. So 15-4 ada sama. Yasmin, maybe you want to defend why you include 16 and 7.
17. Sebab I
17.
confirm betul kan. I 15 confirm betul. I takkan ada salah.
Okay, our
Sebab I think when it comes to wildlife there is there's weak institutions. I mean, there's also why these animals are extinct is also because human beings are trafficking them for whatever medicinal purposes or nak gantung kat dinding ke apa ke. So I think law enforcement, peace, justice is critical to bring these people in
Hmm.
and really punish them the right way. I mean, you all know, right? Anson Wong, which is the biggest wildlife trafficker in the world, is Malaysian, and I think
Yeah.
the whole family could. And I think he just like got away with a slap on the
He's
wrist.
the biggest trafficker in the world from Malaysia that is caught. We don't know. We don't know if he's the biggest. He
Okay,
got caught. He
let's
got
Well,
caught.
our proposed
Yeah.
SDG.
reflects
So
on our
yeah, it
institution and law, right?
all of you answered correctly. So for the next situation, it's on the environmental issues. So environmental issue is a broad issue lah, such as climate change, extinction, haze.
Hmm.
So government dia ada allocate certain percent of budget untuk combat with this issue lah. So the initiative from the environment to allocate some budget in order to resolve with this
Wow.
environmental issue. What do you think goals? What goals that involve for this
Ini kan lama sikit sebab panjang ni.
situation? Okay lah, seven, 6,
Oh
5,
shit.
4,
Eh,
3, 2, 1.
alamak, tak
Oh,
dapat.
Answer.
banyak oh. I rasa macam
Wow. Oh, banyaknya. Ini macam sebuah je ni masuk.
Macam main loto je.
bingo. Bingo
Okay.
11. Bingo.
So yang kita propose ni,
Oh, 4 je.
ada not cover all the SDG, but these are the SDG that we think is the main goals lah yang relate. Tapi your answer might be also correct. Okay, so
I
janganlah risau sangat.
have to argue.
Orang UN pun discuss sampai 3-4 malam. Kami ada 10 seconds je.
Itulah. Semua tak kena pula tu.
No, who are better? We can think this 10 seconds, man. They want it.
Bagi tahu orang yang baru nak kenal pasal SDG, at least they can relate. So with the situation. Okay, last
Yes,
situation.
ni budak sekolah
On the
patut buat
issue-
ni.
Jauh tu kan
Oh.
You can practice with your daughter.
Oh, I thought his dad or grandfather had tigers in the palace.
Okay, for the next situation,
What?
on the 14th. So,
Let's talk.
are you back with me?
Sorry, berapa saat?
Belum, masih situation lagi, Yasmin. So the enforcement agency, because of the poaching issue, they are not only focused on the poacher, tapi they will also take action to the restaurant that serve the exotic meat. So yeah, write down your answer. What goals do you think it suit the situation?
Zero hunger.
That's why I know.
Sorry to
Exotic animals kat sini.
Oh, I know it's a dry joke, but
let's make
Five.
SDG funny.
3, 2, 1.
Sempat ni je.
15.
15 and 12.
Okay, so basically 15 yang ada on those 3 speakers. So our
Yeah.
proposed SDG.
Oh,
Yes.
satu je.
Yay.
Yeah.
Malam.
Okay. Alamak, rasa macam sekejap pula live hari ni kan. Macam best lah.
You tanya rasa kejap lah, yang kami yang menjawab ni.
Saat kan? Saat.
You yang menjawab tu. Kami yang menunggu nak jawab ni. Lama tunggu.
Suspend je. Okay, Fadli, continue cakap.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, we watched
And the team.
I hope
Yes.
I hope the viewers are more eager to know more about SDG, and you can apa ni, cari all the information dekat Google's YouTube even after this apa talk show has ended. So thank you to all the
Come and
guests,
talk to us. Come and
the
talk to us.
speaker.
Chop Kuswa.
Yes.
I suggest 30 seconds summary from all the speakers, so that at least the viewers will go back with some perspectives.
Okay.
Like a summary.
So starting from Yasmin,
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah.
since you raise up this issue kan, so start with you lah.
Okay. So I hope the viewers got some awareness and education of SDGs. Don't worry if you don't know the goals. I think more importantly is baca dulu, fahamkan dulu, and then see what are the goals that make sense to you. And I am sure one or more than one will be relevant to you. And then dig deeper into it so that you can see how it can relate to your everyday life.
Next, Amle.
Well, I think after all said and done, I think SDGs are a very good set of uh, vision or goals or wishes, you may say, for us to, I mean, at least give some idea to us on how to go forward. And again, like before, I think we as the whole team would like to apologize to the viewers whose questions we may not be able to answer on time, because 1 hour is really a short time actually.
Yep, true. Peps, last word.
Okay. My last word would be, I don't know. I think it's really about wanting to know more lah. So if you are listening, obviously you want to know more, and I hope that you will always open your heart and mind to learn about something, to hear opinions about things, especially matters that can improve your personal lives and people around you and the environment. Yeah. So as long as you have that curiosity to learn, I guess eventually you'll understand the importance of goals like SDG goals or other important things to ensure the sustainability of our world. So that's all from me.
Okay, thank you again to Yasmin, Amle, and Peps for the
Thank
great
you.
input during this Sembang session. So, speakers, you may say goodbye to our viewers now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye everyone. Thank you.
So thank you to everyone who watched tonight's session of Sembang Alam, How Relevant Are SDGs in Our Life. We'll see you next week with another guest host who will bring you more sustainable related issues to talk about. Before I end this session, again, I would like to remind to all of you, you can still stand a chance to win the giveaway to join our self-watering workshop for free by commenting hashtag I am in before 10 p.m. tomorrow. Stay safe, stay sane, and good night. Bye bye.